10/22, Saturday, February 26th. We are prepping for epic sailing adventure, but we're going to change the
it's all watered down
fuel filters, and these are the most hated fuel filters I think ever. They're Dahl 101.
You can see the
so you can see why the engine quit last year, and that's last year. I haven't replaced it. The one on the starboard, on the right side, I'm sorry, is new. And I'm hoping this is the last filter we need to change until I get some new Racors in here. But what's your initial assessment? I see a lot of gunk and sediment in there.
it's literally not draining because of the amount of sediment that's up in here.
All right, so this is actually what, a year or so we changed one of the primaries, not this one. I mean, look at this.
Well, compared to a new, it's definitely filthy.
Looks like shit. All right, lubricating the gasket on top. Quasi-fresh diesel oil.
It's the diesel oil.
And look at this gnarly.
Yeah.
God, then look at the difference between those.
Mm-hmm.
2 microns are really too small for primaries. They should be like 10 microns. All right, so what are we doing?
Messing things up. So we've turned off the valve here. We've shut off the main valve for the fuel line, and we're rerouting it through this little electric pump, which is literally bleeding the entire fuel system.
So that's full.
From the back end. It's not full yet.
Well, it's filling, I should say.
It's filling up, and then that's going to bleed through, and this is actually pumping fuel manually, and this pipe is coming off of the common rail on the engine. So this is coming off the fuel rail. We can close this once it gets filled, so we don't have to bleed the injectors.
We may need to bleed this last, though.
But it still doesn't matter right now. We will bleed it again at the end.
In the secondary filter.
We need to shut the...
It's pissing, so it's got a little bit of pressure. What are we doing?
Somebody wanted to mark their anchor chain, which involves disassembling the entire bilge, apparently.
Sorry.
So here we are, disassembling the entire bilge.
All right.
Trying to
slid a little bit.
Yeah.
Patrick's on the boat for fucking less than 24 hours, and he already ruined it. No, he's almost fixed everything on the boat, but we got this thing fucked up. The dripless seal packing gland, the PYI dripless seal is dripping a lot.
Let's see.
So is there any kind of cutlass bearing or anything like that on this side as well? Are there 2 of them?
Oh, a cutlass bearing? No, there's not a cutlass bearing. You have, this is just like Nadi Yadi, which is you have a cutlass bearing in your strut.
Yeah, and that's
exactly.
Stern tube and the packing gland, or the dripless packing gland.
Correct.
Here.
Well, and then you have the you have what I'm seeing here, which is the bellows.
Yeah.
So we got to see where the bellows are, and then right there, if you can see, is the that's the actual shaft seal itself. So it's all one thing.
All right, what's going on, Patrick?
Oh, taking care of business here. We have some hastily wired wires that need to be done more appropriately so that the bilge pumps operate. We found multiple wires disconnected that were shutting off the running of the bilge pumps. So we're making these actually...
No, this bilge pump was working perfectly fine.
Except for yesterday when it wasn't working at all.
Right, but it wasn't this wiring, it was the other wiring on the other end of the wires.
Oh, but there was a wire here that I just kind of did a little tug on, like this, and it slid right out of the connector. Yeah, but you broke it.
It was fine.
Oh, all right. Okay.
This wiring was a rat's nest.
It was a quick job. So and it was done hastily, and it's been addressed.
All right. So there's a bunch of salt water and corrosion kind of coming out of the. I can't get a camera on it well at this point, but we'll try and clean that up a little bit. So we're getting a little bit of water into the bilge. It's doesn't appear to be leaking statically, but definitely a concern underway. The afternoon activities here. We've got rewired bilge pump and freshwater pump. Look at that beautiful wiring. Nice job cleaning that up, dude.
ABCDE compliant, I guess.
Right on.
Don't know if it's YC. Okay, we got B footage going. B-roll. I'm going to do it like this and coming in.
So there's no way this can be.
So
Like, there's hardly any room here between the transmission and the.
yeah, so we can see here the this shaft, and we can see the cleanliness of it, but you can also get a view of the end of the that seal. There's a seal that seals the transmission, and that one's rusting away. The end is, but like looking down, I think this looks pretty decent here.
What's this?
The collar and the cleanliness of the collar, like in terms of that shaft seal looking.
I tried to wipe it off a little bit with a rag yesterday, but I couldn't really get my hand and access in there very good. There's a fucking madman tearing my boat apart. Does this tank look like it's pralines and fucked, or?
Yep. Take a look right down there, straight down there, Captain.
Pardon me. All right. Let's see what we got here. This is the port side tank, which is the better of the two tanks, I should note. Which looks like shit. Sorry, feces. Well, I mean, there's definitely some corrosion there. All right, this is Operation Prop Swap. Failure. The prop is not going to get swapped. You can't do a folding prop, I guess. All right, here's the situation update. The diver went down. First thing, he went and he looked and he said, "You've got a folding prop. I don't do those underwater. Too many moving parts." So he's like, "Yeah, you're going to have to do a haul out." And the next thing he did is he went down and just inspected it. He said the cutlass bearing looks solid, but the prop is loose fore and aft. So it's something with the something top sides, the shaft to the coupling likely needs to be tightened. So good news there is the shaft itself and the prop may be okay. So I may not need to haul out immediately. We'll take a look and see what we can figure there. My hope is it's just tighten it down some bolts, and you know, seeing if that takes care of the problem.
Rolling. Take two. So once we've got our main drum off, then on these winches we've got two sets of bearings that we need to remove and clean. So this is the first set, these roller bearings. So we'll remove the three, remove that bottom plate. Those will come slide right off. We'll get those all cleaned up and re-lubed when we're doing reassembly, but that enables us to remove these two pins. There's one on either side, which hold the planetary gears in place. And at the bottom, inside these planetary gears, is where the pawls and springs are on these winches.
Okay.
Some winches it's in the drum, every winch is different.
And these are Lumar 52 two-speed self-tailing winches.
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
Very nice winches.
All right, Patrick, can you describe how this water tank from the starboard side wound up finding its way onto the deck of the boat?
Well, you left. I couldn't sleep. You mentioned something about a leak, and I decided to disassemble the starboard settee completely. And in the end, I just wanted to sweep up and vacuum underneath it, and this was the easiest way. And fortunately, I did that because I found this huge crack in the fitting.
So this is the culprit. So shortly after we bought the boat, we were getting ready to take it up, bring it up from Mexico. We filled up the tanks and started leaking, and that's it. Corrosion, the cracks are pretty evident here. So
it's poor welding. Ultimately that's a poor weld that caused that particular failure. So the crack was probably already there, and then the continued corrosion caused the crack to burst.
So the question is whether we can get it replaced or whether we need a new tank. But
There's an inspection.